Hello, Garland Nixon here, hanging out with the one and only Dr. Jim Kavanagh. We're going to talk about the Charlie Kirk assassination, but mainly from the perspective of what it's been used for afterwards. Let's talk. Hello, Garland Nixon here. We're hanging out with, there we go. I wanted to make sure I changed this. I originally had one name for this episode and I didn't have Dr. Jim Kavanagh's name. And so I changed the title and there we go. At least on, maybe not on Facebook. You know, Facebook is weird. Not weird, but I've noticed this. If I use words like Zionism or things like that, for some reason, when I try to connect, I won't let the stream.
Really?
And then other things, I just click right away and boom,
Really?
it's interesting.
So we're all going to go down that road now. And TikTok is over, I think, for that. I don't know.
Well, you know, just and this is down the road of down the line of what we're talking with. I'm hanging out with Dr. Jim Kavanagh. All right. So, but one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is the Charlie Kirk story. You know, it's a man was killed, a young 31-year-old man. A terrible thing happened, you know, and there's a lot of discussion about it. So before we get going, because one of the things we like to talk about is what's happened afterwards, what it's been used for. You know, Charlie's gone, and his, as they would say, you know, my dad would say, or parents would say, it being, you know, very, you know, they were religious Southern Baptist people. His suffering is over, right? But ours is yet to begin. And you know, how it's going to be used, you know, how they're going to take Charlie Kirk's life and weaponize it, as it were, and his death and weaponize it. But let's get started. Before we get started, you know, Jim, we've been through RFKs and JFKs, Martin Luther Kings, and where people, what the hell? You know what I mean? 9/11s, where people look at it and say, what the hell's going on here? And of course, you're a crazy person. Remember Seth Rich? If you said, hey, wait a minute, wasn't he their tech guy and somebody stole their stuff and could have been him and then he was shot? You're a crazy conspiracy theorist. Don't go anywhere with that. This is a story that writes itself. If you look at the assassination, I don't care what you may want to think. On its face, you're like, okay, you had an assassination. You have a person who allegedly did it that they've caught, and supposedly the guys, I don't know, they're pretty sure he did. I don't know how. And every day something else pops up where it's like, okay, he drove there 4 hours beforehand. Allegedly, we're told 4 hours before he drove there, but 31 minutes before the shooting, he was seen wandering around in a neighborhood a half mile away. So he drove there, then he wandered off.
Yeah.
And then he wandered back.
Yep.
Climbed on the roof. He took guns apart. He changed clothes multiple times. I mean, this guy was really into fashion for some reason. And you look at it and you're like, you know, I don't want to sound like a crazy person. And then there's people that really didn't like him that would be much happier if somebody was in charge of this organization, say some guy like, I'm just throwing a name out there, Ben Shapiro. And then Ben Shapiro's in charge. And you look at all of it and you're like, you know, there's some Zionist guy running around saying, kill me, I did it. What the hell? Jim, I guess I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist because I'm starting to think there's something fishy here.
Look, either Charlie Kirk is unintelligibly, in a way that we can't understand, confusing and stupid, because it is extremely stupid to, you know, have this assassination and then call your girlfriend and say, hi, lover.
Oh, you said Charlie Kirk. I think you meant Tyler Robinson. You said Charlie Kirk. I think you meant the shooter. Yeah.
Right. Well, you kill Charlie Kirk, and then you call your girlfriend and say, "Hi, lover. Did you shoot Charlie Kirk, yeah, I shot Charlie, and I did this, I did that. Oh, and she's asking him all. He said, but I don't worry about it because I hit all the clues. But here's how I did it, And it's so you got to be stupid. You have to never in your life have watched a cop show to do that, right? To say, oh, they're never going to get this private conversation I'm having with my lover on text messaging. And you did it in such a way that was so deeply convoluted, as you say. I arrived 4 hours early, then I went for a stroll mile back and forth, and then I changed my clothes and I disassembled the gun, I reassembled the gun, and I disassembled. I left the gun in the woods, and then I'm calling my lover to tell her I left the gun in the woods, and so that either he's deranged in a certain kind of way and stupid in a way that doesn't make any sense, and that's possible. I mean, you can't deny, or because the other alternative is that the FBI is so damn stupid that they produce this. They're telling us a story that is ridiculous and doesn't make any sense. And this text message chat they're giving us with, oh, then I saw there was still a squad car there, and all perfect sentences with punctuation and, a way that no 22-year-old texts, and using the word squad car. Kenneth Owen said a great thing. The only people who use the word squad car are people in the squad. and it just is this text chat is so unbelievable that either Kirk is someone who's just way out in a unique person of a certain kind of crazy person in a way that's not just crazy, but stupid, or the FBI is trying to set him up in a way that itself is stupid. To a certain extent, the stupidity of what they're telling you argues that maybe it's true because they can't be thinking that anybody will take this text message chat as real unless it is real, which is, so the whole thing is this is what we have with these things all the time. The story they're giving you is crazy. You can't believe it. It's very hard to figure out how you're going to get to the real story because they got everything handled. They took all the pictures, they took all the cameras, they got Charlie Kirk in custody. What kind of lawyer does he have? Will he kill himself? Will he, plead guilty and be sent away without saying a word? I mean, so it has become impossible. You talk about losing trust in the experts and the elite, whether it's the medical elite or the legal elite or the political elite. They're telling you crap all the time that is hard to believe, and you really shouldn't believe it just because they're saying it, but it's very hard to find any way to get into it and find the truth about it. So that's the predicament we're in now with this. Will we ever get the full story? We still don't know what happened to Crooks, Matthew Crooks, the guy who shot at Trump. This was a presidential assassination. We know nothing about it. We've heard nothing about it. It's bizarre.
But the Ryan Ruth, the other guy who supposedly was on the fifth hole, who suddenly, when you looked into it, if you remember his wife, people were like, hey, we found someone, Kathleen Schaefer, with the exact same name as his wife, who works for this CIA company that's 6 miles from CIA headquarters, Maximus. And they asked the company, is this the same Kathleen Schaefer? And they refused to answer, which is a yes. Any company in the world. Hey, this guy tried to kill a president. Does his wife work for you? No, absolutely not. That's a complete. But they said, oh, we know we won't. Now, the judge, at the request of the prosecutor, has sealed the evidence in the Ryan Ruth case, arguing that if it got out, it could cause grave damage to national security. So you're like, okay, we got one guy who at one point was in a BlackRock advertisement, who had no online print, who's on a building, and they told us they couldn't get on the building or anything because it was too steep. And then like a couple days later, there's this guy like 70 some years old walking around on the building, and they show that there's a room where the cops were in. And if you look outside the window, it's looking exactly. I mean, you could have hit the guy with a rock. You could have opened the window. You wouldn't even have had to raise your voice and said, hey, buddy, what are you doing there laying on the roof with the gun?
And people pointed him out. So none of it makes
everybody saw it but the cops. Everybody's like, hey, right there. You're supposed to be the president. You're supposed to have drones. You're supposed to have spotters. And all these people are yelling, hey, there's a guy crawling around on the roof with a gun. And they're like, la, 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 la. We don't see anything. You know,
we got our guys with guns over there. They just don't see them. It's unbelievable. No,
well,
so I don't know.
You know, let me just say this, Jim. What has happened after all the false flags, after all of these things, might I add, Russiagate?
Yeah,
Russiagate, the Hunter Biden stuff, Seth Rich. Over the last, you'd have to be a fool. Yep. Even if this was an easy to believe story, which it is so preposterous, I don't know. You'd have to be a fool to believe it. If the guy did a videotape confession and they had video of him committing the crime, you still would have to be a fool to believe anything these people said, which goes to show there is no faith in the institutions anymore. Yeah. But with this story, I gotta say, I'm dumbfounded. I never seen anything like this in my life.
Well, you see ridiculous stories. I mean, the Kennedy assassination was a ridiculous story. We saw, you know, and you got to go to the RFK assassination. You saw that guy shooting at Sirhan shooting at RFK. Everybody thought, oh, as you say, I saw it. And he did not kill RFK. He didn't. I mean, I didn't realize this for many, many years. People should read Lisa Peace's book, P-A-S-E. But there's no question about it. RFK was shot from behind within an inch of his neck. Sirhan was never behind him and was always feet away from him. And so there's somebody else that was standing there. And where are all the evidence has been disappeared and lost and blah, blah, blah. And so it's extremely difficult, as you say, to even if you had a picture of him shooting, there might be that might not have been the bullet that hit him. Where's the bullet?
And it could have been a blank gun. It could have had no bullets in it.
This message chat is the strongest evidence they have. That damn thing, which sounds ridiculous to everybody. They don't have any forensic evidence. I don't know, unless they're hiding it. They don't have a bullet. They can't match him to.
They don't have a bullet.
So how could they even get an indictment against him? Until this message chat came out, I was saying, how are they going to get an indictment this guy? Because he told somebody? Because there's hearsay? Because he said, I did. Did he say that really flat out? Well, no, he wrote it on a note that we don't have, but we know what the note said because of our aggressive interrogation techniques. We've been beating it out of his girlfriend. So it's the weirdest set of, the evidence is terrible right now for a conviction on
if I'm sitting on a jury, I convict this guy based on that. We got blurry footage that I don't know if it's him. It could be, looks a little suspicious. And knowing what they can do with AI today, I don't know that that's him. Then you got him at freaking Dairy Queen, wandering around there with fries and a drink like there's nothing going on. La la la.
Yeah. With a I don't know what item of that was the T-shirt that he's supposed to be changed into or changed out of. It's just ridiculous. I mean, and the gun. I mean, that you see pictures. I saw videos of guys taking that gun apart. It's not easy to do. You need two tools, and you need time, and it's long. It's a 40-some inch barrel. You can't just stick it down your pants. When you're walking up and down the stairs, you see him walking up and down stairs, flexing his knees. He couldn't. When he's walking in that, whoever it is that's walking across that neighborhood, clearly is walking as if he's got a stick in his leg. But you see this picture they say is Robinson walking up and down the stairs with his backpack. The backpack is not big enough to hold the barrel of the gun, and he's walking flexing his knees up and down the stairs. Doesn't have the gun in his pants. So where's the gun? And why would he take it apart and put it back together? Take it apart and then put it back together. And we were talking before, if you put that together on the roof, it's not sighted correctly. Then you have to re-sight that gun and rearrange it so that it's going to work correctly. It's one shot, boom. There's a camera that was sitting right there behind Charlie Kirk. Where is it?
They took the camera down.
Turning Point took it, but I don't know whether the cops have it. Why don't we see?
Well, first of all, let me say this. Okay, again, that's what I did, right? I can tell you this. As soon as that happened, one of the first things you learn in law enforcement, one of the most basic things that I taught to the basic recruits preserve the crime scene.
Lock
You
down the
come
crime
across
scene.
a body, a death, this or that, blah, blah, blah. Number one, put your yellow tape around. Nobody goes anywhere near the crime. Number one in law enforcement, preserve the crime scene. There's been a shooting. And you mean to tell me that some guy's taking the cameras and the cops? Okay.
The whole place was crawling.
And then they dig it up and they're putting friggin' pavement down.
Yeah, they let TPS, they let turning point people into the place. They rummaging around. They didn't secure the crime scene. And I was not a career cop, but I watched CSI, you know, and I watched Law and Order, and I know that that's the first thing you do. And yet you have a major assassination and they don't secure the crime scene, and they let people go all over and take the camera that was there. They let them take the camera away. It's bizarre. It's
and why did they take the camera away?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm working for Garland Nixon Incorporated, and somebody's there and somebody gets shot. I'm not going to say what happened. Our employee, our CEO got shot. What do you want me to do? Well, the first thing you better do is get rid of that damn camera.
Get that camera, bring it back to us.
I'm going to call the cops. We need to catch the guy. Hey, guess what? We got camera footage. Let me get over there and let me get you the camera footage as quick as possible. I'm not going to say take the camera down. Yeah. Oh, by the way, make sure you dig up the area around. There could be DNA evidence or something, and put down pavers.
Are they digging it up?
Yes, they dug the crime scene up and put down pavers. Like you do when you're trying to hide something.
Yeah. Okay. This is the point, you know, that I made in the article I just published, which is, you know, this is an event that they're turning into something. They don't care. I didn't know anything about Charlie Kirk, really, you know, until this happened. And what I've learned about him since is that, you know, he was someone whose politics were pernicious and blah, 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 blah. And I don't like it. And that I also believe the story that that Max Blumenthal and Anya Parampil and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson are from what I've seen of the clips of him and of what, not only of what they reported, but clips of what he's talking with other people, his talk with Megyn Kelly, etc. I also believe that he was starting to bristle against the pressure on him from the Zionists to not ever let anybody criticize Israel at the turning point events. So, and they did, and they said, we need someone else to be running this, etc. So I believe all of those things, but I was not that interested in Charlie Kirk. And I'm going to tell you, 99% of the politicians involved in this Charlie Kirk canonization campaign, they didn't know anything about Charlie Kirk 10 days ago either.
I didn't know.
They didn't think about it. Now, immediately, there's a mass media across the universe event, a campaign to literally canonize Charlie Kirk, to put him in, you know, videos with Jesus and to turn him into a national icon. I can't believe it saying it, but there are memes all over it's him and JFK and MLK of all people, and Abraham Lincoln, and he's a national martyr and hero, and we should lie in state. And everybody, not just nobody can say any bad things about him and say I don't like his politics, or you know, he got what he reaped what he sowed, which is we can say about it. You can say about anybody else, but you not only can you not say something like negative about him, you must be positive about him. If you're not positive about him, then you're a sinner. And it's the most bizarre. But so that campaign to do something like that had to be prepared in advance. It went from 0 to 1,000 immediately. So they were looking for an event with which to push what is going to be a campaign of complete. Is the left? We're going after the radical left, although we don't have no idea what Tyler Robinson's politics are, or his trans boy girlfriend, whatever it is. We have no idea about any of that. They wanted to blame it on trans and leftists and radical leftists and Code Pink and Antifa. And this is just not, but that's what they wanted to do.
Right.
And they wanted to use this. There was an event. They found this event happened. And cui bono, to whose benefit is it? It's to the benefit of the repressive police state that they want to put in, which is complete censorship, which is the end of free speech, you know, and people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, who are friends of Charlie Kirk, are saying they are they're very, very strong on this. Candace Owens is on fire over this. They're exactly what you said. They're weaponizing this to do something that they say Charlie Kirk would have hated, which is hate crime laws and domestic terrorism laws and blah, 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 blah. And, and cancel culture at the highest level. And so this is all what Charlie Kirk is a token. They don't care about Charlie Kirk any more than I do. Most of the people doing this, he's just a tool that's going to be used. His ghost is a tool that's going to be used for these political purposes. He's been turned into a martyr who will be the icon of the repress the left movement and an icon, because as I show, they're trying to turn him in. They're having problems with this because of the reporting, but they're trying to turn it into an icon because the repress the left movement is itself, for the Trump administration, first of all, a repress the pro-Palestine movement, repress any anti-Zionist activity, and they want to put him, and they have videos of him, he and Jesus and Benjamin Netanyahu together, and he's an icon of he's a conjoined twin of Zionist Jesus. That's what they want to do. And that they're having a problem with, because what's amazing is that it is people from the right, the MAGA right, they're now in a situation where they're saying, oh yeah, Kennedy was shot, JFK was shot by Israel. And and they down the liberty. And Charlie Kirk was probably might be shot by Israel too, and and Israel's been behind the 9/11 and blah blah. So they're really the faction of MAGA that they want. With the reason they wanted to replace Charlie Kirk is because that faction of MAGA was growing, and they couldn't have someone. I didn't realize how influential Kirk was. They had this 3,500 colleges this turning point was in. It was having an effect. It was addressing the younger generation, the right-wing younger generation and Christians, and they need to hold them in place. They can't let them get away from Zionism, and that's happening. And they're going to use this to try and stop it, but I think they've hurt themselves on it. I don't think it is. But they're certainly going to use it to repress what they call the radical left, which is anybody, which is from the nation. And Code Pink.
Anybody who is not down with Zionism. That's what they're going to mean. Because they're like, yes, this guy's a radical left. And I'm like, the only thing we know about his politics, we only know one thing about it. And that was that he was living apparently with a trans person. So we're told. We didn't even know anything for sure, but we're told a trans person who's very inquisitive, might I add, because if you write, who would have made a really good FBI interrogator, because every single time the guy said, "I did this," and the trans roommate would say, "Why?" Yeah. Oh, and then I did it for this reason. Oh, what else? What? Yeah. And I'm like, so you are just texting how long have you been working on it? Yeah. What the hell? Hey, yes, I just committed a murder. Now, if I had a significant other, and in my case, it wouldn't be trans, but let's just say it's a woman. And she said, this woman says, "Garland, I just committed a murder." And I'd be thinking, well, gee, I guess this relationship ain't going to work out very well here, huh? She's like, "Hey, guess what? That murder you saw on TV? Yeah, I done it." I'd be the thing that I wouldn't do is say, "So tell me, how long you been working on this thing?" Exactly. Hold on, let me get a cup of coffee. So, there's a few questions here. I got a piece of pen and paper. How long you been working on this anyway? Well, a week, and I did this. Oh, really? What kind of gun? Could you give me the? There's something wrong.
It's not just that he has to be stupid. She has to be stupid too. If my wife called me and said, "I just shot somebody, killed somebody," I'd say, and texted me, I say, first of all, put down the damn phone. Exactly. You're not. If you're concerned about someone, maybe she had a good reason to kill somebody. I don't know, but I want to find out off the phone.
Don't text anything. Get a lawyer and don't answer any questions without your lawyer present, and your lawyer's going to tell you don't answer any questions.
Yeah, and he tells her
anything else.
He tells her don't answer any questions. But I've just laid out the whole story that you're not going to have to answer any questions because I put it out for the cops to find. So everybody involved in this has to be and is. I mean, the FBI is, if they're framing him, they're stupid, and if they're not and they're pernicious and they're stupid, and if this is a fictional chat GPT conversation that they ginned up, then they're pernicious and stupid. And if he did it, then he and his boy girlfriend are stupid. I mean, what can I say? In a way that's, it doesn't mean that he has a very smart people are often very stupid about certain things. And clearly they're stupid about how not to get caught committing murder. So it's just
look at this. So this is the text message, right? The person was Twiggs. They said Lance Twiggs, the person. Okay. This is the first thing they said. What? Question mark, question mark, question mark. You're joking, right? Question mark, question mark. That's the first thing they said. Then Robinson says something else. Then they go, you weren't the one who did it, right? Question mark, question mark. Next thing they say is, I thought they caught the person, question mark. Next move, the thing the person says, Twiggs, why? Question mark. Why did I do it? Yeah. Next thing. How long have you been planning this? Every single thing they say.
How long have you been planning?
Why'd you do it? How long have you been planning this? Who the hell? I don't know. Be honest, I don't know how trans people think. I don't know that whole lifestyle. Maybe it's something different. Maybe they have a different level of inquisitive nature than I'm. But so tell me there, buddy, how long have you been working on it? Now, if I were an FBI investigator, I'd probably have to. For instance, if I was an FBI investigator and I got Lance Twiggs' a phone and I was able to respond and have him think I was Lance Twiggs, those are good. Yeah. So tell me what time? Blah blah blah.
Or Lance Twiggs was a handler. If Lance Twiggs, who is being very cooperative, was kind of set in place to. This is the kind of thing you got to think about to give the story that was needed to give that they needed to get that's a possibility too.
Listen to this. I would come in on Monday morning and I would have a stack like this of police reports. So I've read police reports and they came in all week. Mm-hmm. There's no week that I didn't read 75 police reports to 100. No week when I was. Even as a sergeant, I would get 30 or 40, right? By the time I was a major, I was getting 50 to 100 a week, and I had to read every one of them. Okay. When this person says, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot. Squad car? Swept that spot? That's, my friend, it's every police report I've ever written. That's like police reporting 101.
I know.
Proceeded to the area. I'm surprised you didn't say I proceeded to the area in an order. At which time I came upon a rifle.
I know, yeah.
And then his concern is my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says, Grandpa wants to know photos of the rifle. Released the photo that I just killed somebody on national TV, and I'm afraid that I'm going to get in trouble with my dad for borrowing Grandpa's rifle.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what to say. It's humorous, but it's not. What the hell? But it's not about Charlie Kirk or Tyler Robinson.
No, it's not. That's
Twiggy. It's about what's going on in the country. It's about the political. This is a tool of political repression that they're using, and they're going to do it. I mean, Trump, and it is, and this is being stupid about it. They want to stop anti-Zionism, and they want to have a campaign about that, but then tie it to you can't say anything negative about Donald Trump. You can't ask him a question. He's telling reporters from Australia that he's going to get in touch with their president and prime minister because they asked a question that he didn't like. So this is so far beyond any reasonable way to institute repression that might the only way you're going to do this is just, and it looks like they will be willing to do it, is just pure force. And the more you need force to do that, to some extent, this is what it really is. For the first time, I'm saying they want to gin up a civil war. They're not people who are concerned about political violence and civility, and they're not concerned about that at all. They never have been. And they mocked people's deaths all along, and Trump called Democrats fascists and fascist, communist, Islamists, etc. all for years. They don't care about this stuff. They just want to they got to create a martyred figure, a saintly figure that they can try and get the whole world to believe, and every American certainly, was a saint and a hero, of the national hero of immense importance. And this is the reason why we're going to start going after the left, and which means everybody to the left of Donald Trump, essentially. And
they don't care if you're left or right. As long as you're down with Zionism, you can say, you could be every trans person now, all of the stuff, woke, DEI, everything that they hate. If you're down with Zionism, they ain't going after you.
Yeah,
you're like, well, I'm with all the woke stuff. Okay, how do you feel about Israel? Israel all the way. We love Netanyahu. Okay, you come right this way. You're free. What about you? You're going to jail.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Jim. To me, of all of this, there's a level of futility, because the people are sick and tired of this crap. Reasonable, everyday people who even went along with it because, like, I think Charlie Kirk was a tool. He was a young guy and he benefited them, and he was a tool, whether he knew it or not. I think he started to realize he was a tool and might have started pulling back, and that could have been very costly for him, if you know what I'm saying. But my point is, because what the Zionists doing is so barbaric. They are so barbaric. The level of hubris that they say, yes, we're going to kill y'all. We're sure we'll kill anybody we want. Nobody will bomb. We'll do anything we want. Nobody can stop us. We're the chosen people. They do this stuff to a point where people are just starting to throw up in their mouths. They're just like, people who are like, yes, I was down with Israel, but geez, they're shooting kids, starving people, machine gunning people when they have little girls hiding hijab. What the hell? It's getting to a point where people just can't stomach it anymore. And now it went from, yes, we love Israel, well, everybody join into, okay, well, now people won't take it anymore. That's okay. We'll beat the hell out of you and lock you up.
Yeah. Look, they are definitely, they've lost the narrative game. They've lost the ideological narrative war, in the sense that everybody's sick of this. And even that was the problem. It was down to like 22% of the under 35 Republicans who were pro-Israel as opposed to pro-Palestine. So that's what they want to stop. They want to stop that. But at the end of the day, they don't care. As long as they have the American political elite in their pockets, doing what they want and supporting anything they do. And they think they're okay. And to a certain extent, they're right. To a great extent, they're right. And they think they do, and they do. And they are telling the world, the excuses they give are so half-hearted, so flimsy that they're hardly worth giving. But they're telling the world every day. You can read it in their own statements. Ben Gvir, Smotrich, so we can kill 100 people a day. Nobody cares anymore. We do what we want, and they're gonna. This flotilla, I'm very afraid. I'll almost guarantee they're going to go out and they're going to attack that flotilla, and they're going to sink at least one of the boats. And if it's Greta, that's even better for them. They're not going to do that accidentally, or it's not overreaching or overacting. They're doing that. They want people to see how ruthless and cruel they are. And they are telling people deliberately, see, we will slaughter anybody we want, as many people. They're attacking every country. Jordan, they attacked Qatar, and Trump either knows or didn't know about it. And again, who the hell knows? Yeah. Who the hell cares? He's responsible for it. He lets them do anything he wants and anything they want. And we're going to get you into a war with this. They're going to get us into a war with Iran. That's what they're setting up for. And they're going to do it. And they are making it clear We will do anything, and nobody is going to stop us. And that's the case as long as they have the United States at their back, and they still do have the United States at their back, whether the American people want it at their back or not. The people who run the country are with them and are 100. It's one strategic entity, Israel, as far as that's in the Middle East, certainly. And Netanyahu is counting on that. He's right to count on that until we stop the change it in the United States, which was going to require a fight, and they know it, and they're preparing for that by creating a police state to put down any kind of opposition that that threatens to be effective. So it's a very dangerous time we're in, and it's a horrible time. The Palestinian people are being slaughtered. This is, you want to know what you would have done during the Holocaust? It's what you're doing right now, and this is at least as bad as the Nazis. They are, and there's very few people certainly in the world disagree with that, and it's getting to be in the United States that fewer and fewer people disagree with that and don't understand that that's what it is, and it's horrible. It's horrible, and the country has given up any claim. Look, the Western countries, they've given up any claim to stand for democracy, human rights. I mean, forget it, international law, and they're giving up any claim to stand for free speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly. They're throwing people, 800, 900 people in jail in London for holding a sign saying, I oppose genocide, I support Palestine action, and they're going to try and do things like that here. You're going to be pro-Palestinian is going to be pro-terrorist. This is my argument I made about, before Trump came into power, or just when he did. Trump is not going to be, anybody who thought Trump was going to be pro-free speech was being fooled, okay? And anybody who thought he was anti-war was being fooled. And he is not anti-war, and he is not pro-free speech. And he's just there to do the job, first of all, of the Zionists, and secondly, of American
billionaire class. It's just, look, the only thing you've got is factions of the ruling elite, and maybe a different faction of the ruling elite supports it. You've got the tech billionaires, then you've got finance capital, then you've got the Exxon Mobils and the commodities and the industrialists. Factions of the fighting elite, the ruling elite, they may fight a little bit, but we ain't part of the conversation, for starters, number one. Number two, Israel's at the top of their list. I mean, you had, what happened? It just kills me. We went through COVID, where, to me, fascism, you lock people down, you tell them they can't leave home. Then you say you have to get the you-know-what. And if you don't get that, then you can't have a job, you can't get on the train, you can't go in a restaurant, all of this crap with absolutely zero scientific support behind it. If you so much as say, well, I don't know if that's a good idea if I get the job, you're thrown off of Twitter. Then we find out that the Biden administration was literally contacting Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg testified. Well, it was on Joe Rogan. He said they were coming after me saying, you have to throw this person off of Facebook. And I was saying, but we looked into it and everything they're saying, it was true. Throw them off anyway, or else we're going to start investigations against Facebook. Yep. So they were strong arming, not that they had to that much. They're strong arming Facebook. They're strong arming Twitter. So we get this fascism under Biden, and we get this, oh, remember this? We've got to go after domestic terrorists. Remember? And we were looking at that saying, oh, this is scary, right? So the Democrats are there, and they bring in their version of fascism, and they call Trump a fascist. And I'm like, I guess it takes one to know one. Then Trump comes in. Yes, I'm standing up for free speech. JD Vance is going to Europe. You guys are opposing free speech. And I'm like, you're right, JD Vance. But you just have different things you can't say. But no matter, both of them are, if it's Israel or Zionism.
Oh, absolutely.
That's where we are.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely true that the Democrats paved the road here very clearly. They went after, I just saw a clip of AOC saying she was trying to get Tucker Carlson taken off of television.
Yep.
Adam Schiff was trying to get Tucker Carlson taken off of television. They got Donald Trump taken off of Twitter.
That's right.
They got him taken off of Twitter, the president of the United States. When he was president of the United States, they went after everybody the January 6th people, decades in jail for protesting in ways that people have protested for decades in this country. They went after Democratic attorney generals in Georgia, Cop City protests, RICO prosecutions against protesters. So this is all.
I remember the Uhuru.
Yeah, and the
Uhuru group, the Black Socialist or African Socialist Party
People's
or whatever,
Socialist Party,
and they went after them and charged them with federal crime simply because they went to a convention in Moscow that was like anti-imperialist and came back, and this group paid for their got airplane tickets.
It was precisely terrorism charges that the judge threw that out, that out. So that was Biden. What I'm saying is, this is what they were doing, and that's why we said it 100 times. You're helping Donald Trump. He's presenting himself as a martyr and as a free speech warrior. I mean, that's why you drove people, and COVID was terrible. It was one of the worst things ever. I mean, what do you think the political effect was on people who were millions of people were thrown out of their jobs because they wouldn't take a biochemical gene therapy that didn't stop transmission or infection, and had to force to move jobs, or their children were forced. So if all those millions of people were thrown out of their jobs, for whom do you think they're going to vote? The guy who said, "Yeah, I threw you out of your job and I'm proud of it," Jimmy Kimmel, right? Good luck, Wheezy. We won't let you in the hospital. Or the guy who says, "Oh no, I'm in favor of free speech." Everybody saw what a phony business the Russiagate thing was. They didn't. And again, the people who were doing it: John Brennan, Adam Schiff, AOC, maybe AOC was so smart, but Chuck Schumer. They knew very well that Donald Trump was not a Russian spy. They didn't believe that for a second. They didn't care about that. They were using it for another purpose, which was to keep their constituency from moving left, to keep their constituency in the Democratic Party by the opposite of sanctifying Charlie Kirk, but demonizing Donald Trump. So, and they did that, and now Trump's coming in and said, "Well, I'm coming after you," and so now the problem is, who's going to complain about it? Nobody believes the Democrats. You shouldn't believe the Democrats unless someone. I'll say, everybody, my Democratic friends, people who are favor throwing people out of jobs in COVID or not going to the hospital, unless you come to me and say, "I was wrong. I recognize that I was wrong. That was a terrible thing that I did. A terrible thing, and I will never do it." But if you're going to sit back and say, "Well, let's go after Donald Trump and let's go after Trump's fascism," and you're not going to come back, you're not going to take account and take real account of your own work in that regard and what you did to make this possible. You made Donald Trump into a figure that a lot of people who were ordinary Democratic liberals, like Bobby Kennedy.
Well, they're still going after. Not only are they not saying,
maybe I'll vote for Trump because I like free speech.
Not only are they not saying we did anything wrong during COVID, they're attacking Kennedy when he says, we need to look into these vaccines a little bit, and perhaps we should question Big Pharma. Yeah. Bernie Sanders attacked him like a crazy person. They literally wanted to grab him by the throat and choke him out. They just weren't allowed to, become a mob and hang him. And I'm like, I got my issues with him when it comes to Zionism and all that kind of stuff. But the man's trying to look into Big Pharma, get out of his way. Everybody, we all want Big Pharma looked into. Yeah, so they still, if you look at them, they're still shilling for Big Pharma to this day, but telling us that Trump is the fascist. And I'm like, no, you're all a bunch of fascists. Yeah. And you guys opened the damn door to it. But the thing we get back to is this: 9/11. Within days, they had this 300-page document called the Patriot Act, and we know damn and well they didn't write that in 3 days. It was all queued up and ready. They had all of these things queued up and ready. 9/11 hit, boom, there we go. Our fascist wet dream. We're gonna do. Well, Charlie Kirk has died. Now, what are they saying? Oh, well, I guess we'll have to crack down on the left. First of all, you said the guy was living with a trans person. That's all I know about his politics. How the hell does that make him left?
Yeah.
If that's the definition of left now, what about people like me who are like, hey, I stand for organized labor? Do we know if this guy, I'm opposed, I'm anti-war, all those things that were traditionally the left? I don't trust the big corporations, don't trust the government, oppose the war, stand up for the working class. That was the left. The only thing we know about this guy, we've been told about this guy, we don't know a damn thing, is that he supposedly lives with a transitioning trans guy who wants to deal with this whole definition of a woman crap. I don't even know about that. But they take that and say he's some kind of a trans activist. And that alone, that is a definition now of the left.
Yeah.
If there's not a gay right person, a conservative person on earth. You know what I'm saying? That's the
Have
definition now.
Have they met Caitlyn Jenner? He's a right-wing Republican.
Lindsey
I mean,
Graham.
so what I'm saying is, this is the left is, for us, class-based. This is historically, the left is as a leftist, what I want to do is take control of the society and the economy and the politics of the country by the working class, by the great majority of people who have nothing, who only survive by selling their labor to other people, to the capitalist class. And we want to take control of the capital wealth of society from the capitalist class. That's there are, of course, notions of political equality going back, and that was the Black liberation movement, the gay liberation movement. Sure, political equality for everybody, but this is not, and also anti-imperialism. We don't want colonialism and we don't want imperialism. And the United States can't be the cop of the world. So these are things. They've ginned up a version of the left, which is all based on identity politics and marginal issues, or what were for the left secondary issues or marginal issues that. Based on identity politics, and they become the central features of the so-called left. And for leftists, it's not, look, and I hate this. It's terrible, but that's what they want to do. And that's what they're going to do. And they're going to bend everybody to what they're really worried about. And Candace Bergen, I saw her yesterday saying it. They don't want us coming together to fight the billionaires. They want us fighting each other over trans or over Code Pink or whatever. I mean, they want us fighting each other, and they don't want us
Proud Boys or something like that, or
they don't want us coming together against to end American support of Israel, and they don't want us coming together to end the billionaires' control of society. And that's what they're going to use this to put down at as regressive possible policies as they can. They have what they're going to put out. Like the Patriot Act, what they're going to do is put out a thing, making it legal. This business of domestic terrorism is going to be written into law because it wasn't really in law. And they're going to write this into law. Domestic terrorism, anybody who supports it, anybody who has anything to do with it, anybody who watches the wrong TV or has the wrong people in their home, that's what they want to do. They have their own version of the accelerated Patriot Act, and which was Joe Biden helped her. Joe Biden praised the Patriot Act. Joe Biden took credit for it. Joe Biden took credit, I think, after the Oklahoma City bombing. He put out a bill against some kind of domestic terrorism thing or some kind of anti-terrorism bill. And that's what it did. The terrorism after 9/11, they were able to go after everybody, including killing Americans.
Yeah.
Obama killed American citizens with extrajudicial, no trial, just like Trump is doing to these poor people in the boats in Venezuela. Anwar al-Awlaki and his 16-year-old son. So he had a murder incorporated. He sat there with John Brennan and decided which people to kill extrajudicially every week, including American citizens. And so now we have this Trump version of it. And Trump's much more crass and much more crude and blatant, and says things that, this isn't a Department of Defense, this is a Department of War. Yeah, he's right. And you better not go fishing now. Yeah, we're just going to blow you up. This is crap, but this is American imperialism on steroids and blatant. The lipstick's off the imperialist pig and the Zionist pig, and they're pigs. And the lipstick's off them, and we got to decide what we're going to do about them. And it's extremely, extremely difficult. So I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Here's an article: Candace Owens and the Unraveling of the Zionist Narrative, right?
Yeah.
And she's really become a major star, to be honest with you, in a lot of ways. She's really, people are watching her because, actually the whole Brigitte Macron stuff was hilarious, to be honest.
I love it.
Hilarious, that was a great, hilarious. And she's hilarious the way she does it, the way she talks about it, to be frank. But the thing about it is this, like, she's relentless when it comes to this Israel thing. She's relentless. She is remorseless. She just like, screw you, and she's like, Israel killed JFK. I mean, she just comes out and says, they shot Israel, they killed JFK, and you look at it and she's, here's what she's doing. She's saying a lot of things and this is something that's important. I noticed this is something that attracts people. She's saying a lot of things that regular people are thinking. Regular people are like, come on, this shit doesn't make sense. What, right? And Candace Owens is becoming this, like, look at, it used to be Rachel Maddow or these big people, CNN or Tom Brokaw or whatever, right? Now, two of the biggest names are Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Now, there ain't no Democrat. I don't use the word left because these Democrats are not left. They're just, Zionist imperialist pigs who are trying to redefine left as some niche cultural issues. But there's nobody. These Democrats were like, well, we need a Joe Rogan. You had a Joe Rogan. You had Joe Rogan. You had Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I know.
Like, you guys are scumbags. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You attacked Joe Rogan because he
had doctors who were right on his show.
Horse paste. You had to call it. He said, hey, look, I did this in 48 hours. I was well. Oh, you're a terrible conspiracy theorist. So you had Joe Rogan. You attacked him. And now we need a Joe Rogan. No, you need a Candace Owens. You need a Tucker Carlson, there's plenty of things I disagree with them on. Yeah. But they're better journalists than any of these scumbags on Fox, additionally, I might add, who are literally saying we should mow down the homeless. Let's just kill them.
Kill them. Give them involuntary
lethal injection.
And this guy's on TV. Jimmy Kimmel gets kicked off, but this guy's still on. Oh, I didn't really mean it. Baloney, you meant it. We know you meant it. You were saying what you meant. and it wasn't a joke. You didn't say it as a joke. You were expressing your impulse. It was an impulse statement, but it was a statement that was coming from inside you. And that's what you are. And so, it's...
add this, and I know you've heard about this. The Zionists don't give up that easy. Larry Ellison, the Oracle guy.
Yeah.
Him and his son, they're buying TikTok, or trying to, apparently. They're buying CBS. Now I hear he wants to buy CNN. So what are you going to have? You're going to have the ultra Zionists buying CNN and TikTok, and all it'll be is just like Israeli flags on everything. Now, nobody's going to watch it. They're not going to make any money, but they're not buying it to make money.
Yeah, no, they're buying to control the narrative. They throw the money away. To them, it's an expense. It's an expense, but it's an expense like an expensive watch or expensive car. But yeah, and of course, again, they were not leftist networks. CNN isn't a leftist. Blitzer used to work for AIPAC. This is they're turning what was already right-wing, center-right Democrat Zionism and imperialism, and more harder-right Republican Zionism and imperialism. And they're getting it into one big ball that they're going to control every bit of, and they're going to push legislation through that's going to allow for just the repression of certain kinds of speech. They're going to allow people are not only going to not be able to speak on CNN or ABC or CBS because Larry Ellison owns it, but also because they're going to be afraid of being arrested. That's what they want because those networks are losing anyway. They're losing audience to online podcasts and things like that. And what they want to do is they have to get the people doing these online podcasts. They have to get us, and what they're afraid of Max Blumenthal has been on a lot of right-wing podcasts since he did this thing, and he has reasonable discussions with right-wing podcasters. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of left-wing, real left-wing people like Max Blumenthal getting on this program that's speaking to right-wing people in a reasonable way and disagreeing, agreeing, but investigating certain issues in a reasonable way together. That's what they're afraid of. And they're going to try and stop that, especially over Israel, because everybody, I mean, a whole bunch of the right-wing podcasters are ready to do that over Israel. And they want to put a stop to that, and they're going to need laws to do it.
Larry Ellison, a major stakeholder in CBS and Paramount, now CNN, HBO, and TikTok is in his sights. Okay. And so now, and he is a super major ultra Zionist. So what they're doing is, it was like, we got to get rid of TikTok. Well, it was a little too much politics. So they're going to put a super Zionist in front of that. Hollywood is crumbling. Hollywood's falling apart. Nobody wants to watch the movies because they're all garbage now. They're all just every movie. I'm so sick of turning on every freaking every single chewing gum advertisement. There's one black guy, one Asian person, there's one gay person, there's one female. There's one person who you don't know what they are. Maybe they're Muslim or something. I don't know. They got kind of olive skin. Then there's a heavy set person. Then there's a skinny person. You know what I mean? It's like there can't be three black guys don't just hang out and go to the movies anymore. Like, I got to call my buddies. Hey, we can't go to the movies. Why? I couldn't find a gay person. There's only 4. Let's see. We got a white guy, a black guy. We got Pedro. But you guys know a gay person to go to the movies? No. Well, then we can't go. You know what I mean? Like, that's real life. It's so far from real life. I'm like, I'm not watching this crap. Every superhero movie, it's some woman who's 5'2" and she's 120 pounds. Literally, Jim. I watched one of these Predator movies, and there was this woman who was the star of the Predator, this latest Predator movie. I couldn't believe it till I watched the movie. You watch the Predator literally, and he's a predator. He's a badass dude. He literally gets in a fight with a grizzly bear and kills the grizzly bear with his bare hands. Because he's the predator. Hey, great stuff. That's what a predator ought to do. That's my kind of movie. She defeated the predator with her bare hands. He freaking killed a grizzly bear, and then she killed him and cut his head off. At one point, she went into a hunting camp where there were 5 armed trappers. One of them had a gun. The other ones had knives. She was unarmed, defeated all 5 men. And I'm like, do you really think I'm going to watch this? So it's so gone that whatever that crazy woke stuff that they do now is unwatchable. But the Zionists now, they don't care, because there will never be a word against Israel spoken in Hollywood on any movie. Well, lately there's been a couple of documentaries that have gone through, but they're going to put a screen over that.
The one that won the Oscar last year couldn't get distribution. The Israeli Film Society gave their Oscar a couple of days ago to a movie about a Palestinian child who wanted to get to the sea, a Palestinian child who made his way through the territories to the sea. And the Israelis government ended all of its support for the Israeli Film Society, because the Israeli Film Society named that the best picture in Israel. That's going to be the Israeli contender for the best picture and best foreign film in Hollywood. So the Israeli government was so pissed off that they ended support to the Israeli Film Society for promoting a movie about a Palestinian child. So but there's a fight over that now. And that's good. They had like 3,000. It started with like 1,200, went up to 3,000 Hollywood people.
4,800 now.
Good. Yeah, so we won't work with institutions that work with the government of Israel. Look, the tide is turning ideologically on that, and that's why they have to take control. They have to take financial control. It's true. The Ellison and Andresen and all the Zionists who take control of the media, the television networks, are going to throw everybody off who has anything critical of Israel. But we still have this online world that we can speak in, and we've got to be more aggressive about it. We got to be absolutely more aggressive. No, about all of it. No, Charlie Kirk is not a saint. He's just a mediocre podcaster who was promoted, who given tens of millions of dollars by a bunch of Zionists to create a right-wing political organization to influence young kids. And they were pretty successful about it. And then he decided to get a little bit, he was getting a little anxious about that. And now he's gone. Somebody killed him. I don't know. I really don't care that much who killed him or why they killed him, because he just wasn't that important a person to me. And I'm not going to pretend he was.
and I didn't really know anything about him.
And I will speak against Israel. And I will support politically the Palestinian armed resistance. I hope they defeat the Israeli army. I hope they win with their guns and they kill every soldier that comes after them, because they deserve to win, because they're the anti-colonial resistance. And I'm in principle anti-colonial. And I don't have to agree with everything Hamas does or the PIJ does or the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, but they have the right to armed resistance to the Israeli occupation and repression. And I hope they win, and I hope they defeat with all the armed force necessary to do so any Israeli, and that's my right as an American to say it. And I'm not going to back down on that. I'm going to get even harder on it. So, and I'm getting harder on the sense that Donald Trump doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's a jerk and he's an ass. So, that's what he is. He wasn't a Russian spy, and he didn't deserve to be what Andrew Cuomo called was a political persecution in New York over inflating in real estate. But he's a jerk, and he's not going to do anything good for the United States.
And look, when you look at Larry Ellison and he says CBS, CNN, HBO, TikTok, the whole 9 yards, here's the bottom line. They want to make sure that they have the same grasp on the media that they have on the political class.
Exactly.
Because they already got it. They want HBO, CNN, CBS. Well, they already got 99% of them, but they want the other 1% of control. But why? Because they already own the Democrats, the Republicans, they own the White House, they own the Supreme Court, they own the banks, they own the Hollywood, they own, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, is there one little corner? Because what they're doing now is so evil. And because regular people are rejecting it to a level that they are confused and they don't know what to do. And so now they're like, okay. And this Gaza flotilla, I'm waiting to see what happens with that. What are they going to do? How violent are they going to be? I don't know. I don't know the answer. Now I see, I don't know if you saw it. Egypt and Turkey are doing a military exercise in the area of the Mediterranean where the ships are coming, and I don't know what the hell's going on. You know what I mean? I have no idea what's going on, but I'm, fear for the lives and the safety of these people, because they're dealing with barbaric animals, that they're up against. And, and let me add this. If you read the Israeli newspapers, it's packed with people. And guess what they're saying in Israel now? Have you been following that? They're saying, well, we want you to go ahead and make a deal, get the hostages back and end the war. Because their lives are living hell. Now, don't get me wrong. They're all a bunch of Zionist bastards, and they're like, yeah, kill all the Palestinians. But now their lives are miserable as hell. Yeah. And they're like, it was fine while we were just killing innocent people, but our lives are living hell now. So maybe we should end this stuff.
Yeah.
But guess what? The billionaire, super rich Zionists don't give a crap about them either. Well, they're cannon fodder too.
Yeah. Well, the Israelis, the Israeli political class, the Netanyahu government, and they're convinced they're all in for finishing 48 and for getting Greater Israel. And they're succeeding. They've taken over, essentially, Syria. They've taken over, essentially, the government of Lebanon, and the Hezbollah, which is there, hasn't been able or decided or thinks it is able to fight back right at this point. It's very, very bad. And they're going to go after Iran. They know that if they have this their last chance, because they're losing. They have to do it now. They think this is our time to get this over with, to get rid of the Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza once and for all, just like we did in 48. Once it's done, they can call us anything they want. They can call us fascists or murderers, or we don't care. We have it. We own it, and we control it. And that's what they want, and they're going for it. And the American government is filled with people now They always were, but now they're even blatant and cruder and stupider. People like Huckabee, who are going on about Jews are the chosen people. We have to do everything they want. And Donald Trump, who obviously is being controlled by them and told us he was, he got up and said, Adelson's there in the White House more than anybody else. I do anything they ask me to do. So this is even more so the case. And Netanyahu does anything he wants and Trump will support him, the American government. And we have to stop it. But we got to hope that when they're finished with CBS and ABC and whatever, TikTok's going to go, what's going to happen to TikTok? Twitter, you can still say things on Twitter. You can. I can speak on Twitter.
Well, some of you can. I can't because they threw me off Twitter.
Where the hell is you on Twitter? Yeah.
Did you know this? Did you know
can
this,
write
Jim?
on Substack. Will they come for that?
Jim? Did you know that the Twitter hired an Israeli firm to do their, authentication? What do you call it? To make sure it's you. Verification, right? The day that they were hired, the next day is the day they sent me a letter that said, we can't verify you as the owner. The next day after this Israeli firm took over, the next day they sent me a letter that said, we can't verify you as the owner. Pure coincidence, of course. Couldn't have anything to do with what I might have said about Zionism.
So bizarre. You still haven't been able to get back on because it's crazy. It's crazy. So they're going to come after everybody. They're going to try. And as I say, we have to be more aggressive. We have to not soften a line or try and avoid the fight. Now the fight is on. You got to do, and that's the problem now for Iran. It's the problem for everybody.
For Venezuela, they're threatening Venezuela.
Yeah. You gotta be ready to fight, and you gotta fight as hard as you can. And I do think, as I said, I'm really worried about this flotilla, and I think they're gonna make a point. They're going to make a point of sinking one of those boats and telling the world, we're going to do anything. We'll sink them all. We'll sink one, we'll sink 10, we'll sink 2, we'll sink them all. We'll do anything. We're not letting anybody into this situation. We're not relinquishing a bit of control.
And, I'll end by saying, but one last thing. So Israel, now they're mad at Egypt, saying Egypt is doing things in the Sinai and we don't like it. And Trump, you've got to stop. What are they going to do now? Attack Israel? Israel's got a very powerful military. So are they just going to go say, well, that's okay. We'll attack and bomb some Egypt positions. I mean, Netanyahu, he feels like I'll do anything I want.
I'm sorry. He's right. I don't think the Egyptians are going to do a damn thing. I think he could do what he wants to Egypt. Egypt does have a strong, and Turkey has a strong military. They could do something if they wanted. They're not doing anything because they know that if they fight Israel, they're going to be fighting the United States too. And they don't want to take the chance of that. First of all, they're corrupt governments, especially the Egyptian government. They live on the corruption with American money too, the Egyptian military. So to get involved in that means to change their own countries in a way that they don't really want to do. Okay,
they can't afford
really. They'd have to break with the Americans and break with the Israelis and fight them both. And we can avoid the problem with Israel. The Palestinians, too bad. Sorry. We love you, brothers, but we can't help you. You're going to get killed and expelled. But, we don't have to risk our own necks for that right now. And sooner or later, they'll find out they have to risk their own neck. Israel is a nuclear power. They will nuke Cairo in a second. I mean, people think this is something that, they just really wouldn't do that, or that's something and they're holding. And Israel will nuke anybody it needs to, whenever it thinks it needs to, and that's what Egypt knows. Egypt knows if I'm going to fight Israel, I'm going to get nuked. If I'm going to fight Israel in a way that's going to be effective, I have a great big army. I can, on a conventional war, I can come in. Israel can't win with Egypt, Turkey, Iran.
Well, keep in mind, they don't have to go that far because Egypt owes like the World Trade Organization and the IMF and all this. You know what I mean? That's like 200 billion or something. See, for starters, they have you over they've been setting this up for years. Egypt owes unthinkable amounts of money. You know what I mean? So they set you up for years. Your economy is, at any time they got that rug that they can yank right out from under your economy. This has all been set up. Then God only knows how many people with Epstein, all these other things. So we will see. It's got to come from within the U.S. So let's see what happens. We'll keep doing our thing. That's for sure, Jim Kavanagh.
Let's be ally with Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and anybody else who wants to end American support for Israel and Zionism. There's nothing more important we can do in the United States than to end American support for Israel and Zionism. There are other things that are equally important. We should avoid a lot of other things we have to do that are very important. But right now, that's a crucial thing. And I'm anybody who wants to ally with me on that, let's do it. Let's go for it.
And they're buying all of this stuff. You know why? Because they know in a few short months, people will start talking about the midterms, if we even have them. Yeah. All this fascist stuff could say, okay, well, we can't have that because these terrorist groups may try to do something to, to stop Zionism or something like that. They're going. Look, I don't know how they go into the midterms. So God only knows
what's going to happen in the midterms. What's going to happen?
I don't know.
Yeah, again.
I have no idea what's going to happen.
I don't know.
It's not the midterms. It is the primaries. But of course, they own these voting machines, and you and I know both what we think of those voting machines.
Yeah.
Hey, the good news, they leave out of the exit polls say you won by 30%, and you end up losing by 30%.
Yeah. So this is the point. The electoral process is not confident. You can't be confident of it. You just can't. And Donald Trump had the right to complain about it because it's a lot to complain about. So now who controls it and for what purposes? And it's ridiculous. You can't know for certain for probably most of the places in the United States now whether the person you voted for is the person who's going to get your vote.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jim Kavanagh, thanks a lot, everybody. You can find Jim Kavanagh's Substack. He writes great articles, and you can follow him there. You can support him there. Also, everybody, don't forget, if you are able to, you see Patreon, all that kind of stuff. If you're able to donate, that's great. But make sure you go and you subscribe to Jim Kavanagh's Substack. It's excellent. He writes great articles, and he does a lot of good stuff. And you can follow his appearances. He goes on here and Press TV and RT and you name it. He's out there doing great work.
I have a YouTube and a Rumble channel also.
Oh, okay. There you go. So you can follow him for all of his great works. Thanks a lot, everybody.